let's peel back if we can to towards the beginning of the chapter where you discuss I believe you touch on this as well as in the introduction, dogmas. Why do you think it's so difficult for people to harbor the idea that there is infinity, that we are in the infinite? Why do you think that people are so driven to holding and maintaining a finite way of thinking?
Well, I think that does tie right into the discussion and sheds light on what we're talking about because I'm going to draw from Jordan Peterson as well, where he talks about our neurology, our system of perception, basically artificially limits the inputs that we're getting from sensory stimuli and then projects a essentially simulation, a memory and a summary of what's out there. So in a way, it's built into us, and you can see it through necessity of like, if you are unable to distinguish things, then that poses a lot of issues. If I can't say where the book in front of me ends, how can I write on it? Right? Because then I'll just keep going off the page. So we have to be able to process delineations, and delineations are making things finite. And again, even our perception itself, before we consciously do anything, our perception limits things automatically for us. Um, and I think that is maybe well, it's at least analogous to dogma in general, because dogma is like your habitual perception. Your habitual perception limits the amount of input and just gives you a broad brush summary of what's in front of you as something that you can handle.
And that's based off of your own beliefs and perceptions that you've accumulated through the past. So if you've been held to believe, if you've been holding the belief that life is finite, that there are boundaries, that and then somebody comes around and tries to contradict that, you're less likely to harbor that belief system or to just accept it. There's going to be questioning. There's going to be, kind of a pushback with that. Just like the belief that the sun doesn't revolve around the earth, and in fact, it's the opposite. You have to.
Right. Right. Yeah, exactly. You're a bit ahead of me there. I was just going
Oh,
to say how um when we hear the word dogma, we're trained to think like religious inquisition and closed-mindedness, but the it's also the case that they're just simply, if let's say it this way, if there is infinite information out there, you can't handle it all,
right.
especially not all at once. And so you can think of a dogma in that way as a cursory summary belief that's um, close enough, or at least that's how I think it probably starts, giving it the best benefit of the doubt that it's not just an aberration, um, that everybody should just get rid of their dogmas and the world would be better. Like, no, we kind of need, not everybody's going to know everything about everything, right? So you're going to have shorthand, low resolution views of things, to use more Jordan Peterson terminology. The issue is when we get to what we think of dogma in a negative sense is when I think your identity becomes connected to your dogmas, and then you have much more invest in the dogmas, and you don't want the process of having them questioned becomes threatening and painful, not just maybe at most overwhelming and inconvenient. So I think that's where the sharp negative side of dogma comes in, is when we have the natural um, limitation that is not necessarily bad, but then when we get our identity mixed up in it, then that causes issues.
Okay.